Cathy and Elliott Lewis on stage. Cathy Lewis, Elliott Lewis, two of the most distinguished names in radio, appearing each week in their own theater, starring in a repertory of transcribed stories of their own and your choosing. Radio's foremost players in radio's foremost plays. Ladies and gentlemen, Elliott Lewis.
Good evening. May I present my wife, Cathy?
Good evening.
One of the fine shows presented on CBS Radio each week is Escape. It is produced and directed, and many of the stories are written by Anthony Ellis.
Which makes Anthony Ellis a very busy young man. He's also a very gifted young man, and when he called last week and said he had an exciting idea for us and would like to write it, we were happy to agree.
So tonight, a new radio play by the busy Anthony Ellis called A Month of Sundays. Okay. Oh, for the love of God. Hello? Odlow Real Estate.
Hello? Hello?
Odlow Real Estate. This is Mr. Odlow.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I knocked the phone off the desk.
Oh.
Can I help you?
I hope so. I'm looking for a house. Something not too big. About 3 bedrooms, or maybe 2 bedrooms and a den, but I'd rather have 3 bedrooms and a den.
Uh-huh.
Preferably on the west side, in the hills.
I see. Do you...
A pool isn't necessary, but it would be nice because it'll save the trouble of building one later.
Yes. Have you any particular...
English type would be nice. Tudor, or am I thinking of Georgian? No, it's Tudor, isn't it?
Yes. Now, could you give me some idea of...
I don't know, really. 30,000? 35. Do you have anything that might be right? I might go to 40, but not over that.
I certainly have. Quite a few. I think there's one, though. I think I have one I know you'll like. It sounds kind of like what you're looking for.
That's fine. Can I see it today?
Yes. About what time?
You're on Elm, aren't you?
11,574.
Oh, yes. About half an hour?
That'll be fine. I'm sure I have something for you. What is your name, please?
Miss Vanning.
Thank you, Miss Vanning. I'm Mr. Odlow.
Yes, you told me. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I needed a sale. I needed it awful bad. Things had been slow, and I'd spent the whole Sunday up to then trying to unload a fire trap on Laurel for $16,000. It was my only exclusive, and the commission meant a lot. The woman wanted it, but her husband kept saying, 12.5. My God, 12.5? I didn't blame him. It wasn't worth 10. But what are you going to do? So Miss Vanning's call sounded like a good thing. Well, on the nose, a half hour later, the taxi stopped outside and she walked in. She wasn't pretty, but she wasn't not pretty. Kind of in between. She wore glasses and had a funny flat-footed walk like a ballet dancer. It was nice. We got in my car and I drove out to a place on West Canyon. It was $42,000, asking price, but I knew they'd take $35. It was worth it.
Ooh, the driveway needs repairs, doesn't it?
Nothing. A few cracks here and there, but not structural. I'm sure these people would take care of it if you're interested.
I like the view.
I was just going to mention that. Beautiful, isn't it? Best view in the hills. Would you like to go inside first?
All right.
This house, of course, is in multiple listings.
Oh, you don't have an exclusive listing?
Nah, I don't believe in exclusives. Big headache. I didn't bother to call. I've shown it before. They usually leave the key right up here on the shelf. It's the safest place, you know. It's when it's up here. They've always left it here. Well, that's funny.
Perhaps the door's open. Oh.
Well, we can walk over the grounds. I'm sure one of the back doors is open. It's quite a showplace inside. Funny. They always leave the key. We didn't get in. They hadn't left the key, and, well, what are you going to do? Get mad? She looked through the windows, and she liked it. But the place was locked tight. From there, I drove her to 5 more places. She liked one, but...
Oh, it's very nice, Mr. Odlow, and I like it, but there's not enough ground. I could never put a pool in.
And another one.
Oh, the rooms are nowhere nearly big enough.
And another one.
Oh, it's a ridiculous price, Mr. Odlow.
And another one.
It's nice, but it just doesn't bark at me.
It doesn't bark?
Well, you know, it doesn't bark.
Oh, I see. And that shot that Sunday. It was 5:45 when I got her back to the office. She was very nice about it, though. And I guess I kind of enjoyed the day at that. You know, you can sure take some dogs around. And I've done it. But she wasn't a dog.
I'm sure I'll find what I'm looking for, Mr. Odlow, sooner or later.
Sure you will. Look, give me your address and phone number. I'll go through the list, and maybe tomorrow I can...
I'm afraid not. I'm leaving town for a few days in the morning. Palm Springs.
A little hot for Palm Springs, isn't it?
Oh, I love the sun. The hotter the better. Perhaps when I get back, I'll call you.
Okay. Well, here's my card. And why don't you go ahead and give me your phone number anyway? I mean, if I find
Thanks
something...
again, Mr. Odlow. Goodbye. I couldn't give him my number, and I felt really mean about it. With some of them, it didn't matter, but he was nice. I liked him. I don't think he did very well. His office was small and rather dirty. Poor man. But he had shown me some of the nicest places I'd seen for weeks. I scratched his name out and waited for next Sunday. I shouldn't have done it. It's the first time I'd ever repeated, but I liked the way he showed houses. So when Sunday morning came again, I called him.
Odlow Real Estate.
Hello, Mr. Odlow. This is Miss Vanning.
Miss Vanning? Oh, sure. I was hoping...
You showed me some houses last Sunday.
That's right. You know, I'm glad you called. I've got a place just perfect. 38.5, swimming pool, guest house too. I'd like to show it to you.
It sounds very nice.
It's a steal.
When can I see it?
Well, I've got a couple of appointments this afternoon, but if you can make it about 1 o'clock?
That'll be fine.
I'll meet you at my office, if that's convenient, unless you'd rather I pick you up.
Oh, no, thank you. I'll come to your office. 1 o'clock.
I called Miss Marlin just before you got to the office. She said she'd be in all afternoon.
I hope so. I love the outside.
It's a steal for the price. I haven't had anything like it for months. There's at least $5,000 in landscaping. Look, she may have gone out for a few minutes. Why don't we walk around to the back? She's probably left the kitchen door open.
Oh. I was doing a terrible thing and I knew it, but I couldn't stop. I suppose it's the way people get with whiskey and things. And I followed him through the garden. He kept pointing at this and that, telling me about the low taxes, the restrictions, square footage, plumbing. I love the place. I would have loved it if he hadn't said a word. It was beautiful. Well, the back door was locked too, and finally he saw a window that was open. He climbed through and went around to the front to let me in.
Here we are.
I hope it's all right.
Nothing to worry about. What do you think of it?
Seems very nice.
There are 4 bedrooms, 2 downstairs and 2 upstairs. We might as well start down here. Wall-to-wall carpeting. Goes with the house, of course.
Ah.
And this is the master bedroom. 20 by 28, ample for a king-size bed, or 2 doubles. And over here, closets. Lots of space.
Yes.
Here, the dressing room. They spent a lot on the wallpaper, and you can see that. It's the best.
Oh, charming.
Yes. And now through here is the bathroom, and it adjoins to the other bedroom.
Ah,
Only the finest plumbing, all copper.
that does make a difference, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Odlow!
Mrs. Marlin.
How dare you?
Mrs. Marlin, I'd like you to meet Miss Vanning.
How do you do?
Mr. Odlow, how dare you?
Oh, I rang the bell, Mrs. Marlin. I knocked. I thought you'd gone out.
You had no right to break in. How dare you? You broke into my house.
I'm awful sorry. Do you mind if I show Miss Vanning the rest of the house?
Why are you standing there? How dare you? Of course you may not show the house. I wish you to leave immediately.
Yes, Mrs. Marlin, of course. I'll call you later.
Nice to have met you.
How dare you?
I'm sorry about this, Miss Vanning. I hope it didn't embarrass you too much.
That's all right. I don't think you should have stood there, though. I mean, talking to her.
Well, I didn't know she was taking a bath. I'm sorry.
I didn't mind.
I'll call her later. I'm sure it'll be okay. You can come back and see it again.
I like it, Mr. Odlow. From what I've seen, I think the price is about right, too. But I'm afraid there's a feeling to the house.
A feeling?
Yes, I'm very sensitive to houses and their feelings. This would be a hostile place for me to live in. It's definitely hostile, Mr. Odlow.
I know what you mean. You know, I feel that way about houses myself. It's unusual to find someone else with the same reactions.
Isn't it? What sign were you born under?
Pisces.
Well, that accounts for it. I'm Pisces, too.
No kidding! The 10th.
11th.
You know, we must have a lot in common.
Yes, I imagine we have.
Well, I do have a couple of appointments this afternoon, but they're not very important.
Oh, I couldn't dream of taking
It's
it.
my pleasure, Miss Vanning. I'm going to sell you a house, and it'll be my pleasure. That is, if you care to see some more.
You're very kind.
My pleasure. That was 2 Sundays I'd spent with her. I suppose you could say it was 2 Sundays wasted. She was hard to please. Nothing was ever exactly what she wanted. But I've had that kind before. I knew I'd find her a place. Besides, I was beginning to enjoy it. Things were still slow anyhow. Slower. In fact, I decided to give it until the end of the month, and then take my brother-in-law up on a job offer in San Francisco. That second Sunday, I found out her first name, Louise. She was pretty nice, and I didn't even mind using up all the gas in the car. I liked being with her.
He was such a kind man. I've always liked kind men. Awkward men. He was awkward, too. I think good looking, in a sad sort of way. This time I felt even worse when he dropped me off at the taxi stand near his office and thanked me.
You're the best client I've ever had. I mean, you say no, so that it sounds better than yes.
You're very kind, Mr. Odlow, and I've taken up much too much of your time.
No. You know what? We won't give up. If you'll let me have your phone number, I know what you're looking for. I'm going to find it for you.
I'll call you, Mr. Odlow. Goodbye.
Well, goodbye.
Of course he couldn't find what I was looking for. He didn't know that. And because he was good-looking in a sad way, and his name was Giannis Odlow, I knew I'd have to see him again the next Sunday. And he'd find out about me. And then there wouldn't be anything between us anymore. He'd just hate me. It was when I thought of that I started to cry. Right in the taxi I did it. Because I knew it was all going to end.
You are listening to Cathy and Elliott Lewis on stage. Tonight's play, A Month of Sundays. From the bandwagon on the stage to the bandwagon, today's movie, the nimble performances of Fred Astaire have lifted many a song to the all-time hit list. Tomorrow night, CBS Radio's great musical show, There's Music in the Air, will bring you Night and Day, Dancing in the Dark, The Way You Look Tonight, and many other wonderful songs associated with this great star. There'll also be a group of heart songs to encourage late summertime romances when Music in the Air, starring Earl Wrightson, is heard on most of these same stations this Friday evening.
You get a lot of nuts looking for houses in real estate. And once in a while you make a sale. Some people think it's worth it. I might have done if I'd made a sale, but I'd had my license for 2 months, and I couldn't even sell my name. I didn't even have an exclusive anymore. The only real reason I went to the office that third Sunday was because I hoped she'd call. Funny. I thought a lot about her during that week. I looked up her name in the phone books, but it was unlisted. I mean, sure, a girl looking for a big house on the west side, she wasn't going to be listed. Still, it was kind of funny, trying to buy a house and not giving out your number. I had a half dozen places lined up to show her. Well, what I mean is, I had the whole day free to be with her. So I sat in my office listening to the cars go by and looked at the phone and waited.
I'm not going to. Now, Louise, you just sit down and stop it. You're not going to do it anymore. Not to him, not to anybody. Right. No more. Read the Sunday Funnies. Okay. He wouldn't care, though. It's his job. He wants to sell a house. Stop it. Okay, I'll stop. Read Buck Rogers. He looks like him. No, he doesn't. Bet if I called, he'd be out anyway. Sunday's a big day for showing houses. Don't call. He might be there. And then you'll do it again. Okay, I won't. I should have never started this. I'll call somebody else. That'd be all right. Call another agent. That's not going to hurt.
Hello, Odlow Real Estate.
Oh, I wasn't calling you. I mean...
Miss Vanning?
Yes, Mr. Odlow, I'm sorry.
I was afraid you wouldn't call. I've got a couple of places that are it. And I mean it.
Have you?
What time would you like to see them?
Oh, I'm afraid I could be there in half an hour.
That's just fine, Miss Vanning. I'll be waiting.
Oh, but I shouldn't take up your time.
Well, you're not, really. It's fine. Just fine. I'll see you in half an hour. I'll get out and open the gate.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't, Mr. Odlow.
It's all right. They're boxers. We get along fine.
I don't think so. Not those boxers.
Now you just sit in the car. These folks like dogs. They told me there'd be dogs here, but perfectly harmless dogs. I'll be right back.
I wish you wouldn't go. We can see it some other time. And besides, dogs don't like me.
I don't believe that, Miss Vanning.
They don't. My aunt had a Pomeranian that bit me on the ankle when I was 4, and all dogs have tried to bite me ever since.
Well, it's a beautiful house. You'll be sorry if you miss it.
I've seen enough places today, Mr. Odlow. I think we better be getting back now.
Sure. I know. It's a headache trying to find a house.
You don't mind that I've wasted 3 of your Sundays in a row, do you?
It's been a pleasure.
You mean that?
Well, yes, Miss Vanning. It's more than trying to sell you a house now. I've enjoyed knowing you.
Huh?
I think, if you'll pardon my frankness, that I'll almost be sorry when I do find you a place.
Oh, you're a very nice man.
Well, thank you. And I'd like to return the compliment.
No.
Oh, yes.
No. No, I'm not nice. I'm horrible.
Miss Vanning, I'd like to say, and I feel I know you well enough to say it, I'd like to say that, except for you, this real estate business has been a real rat race. A bust. I'm not right for it. Or, it's not right for me.
Oh no, Mr. Odlow, you're very good. You could have sold me any one of the houses you showed. They were all beautiful, and you sold them beautifully.
Oh? But you didn't... Well, you found something wrong with every single one of them. I don't understand. I could have sold you a house?
I'm a cheat.
Miss Vanning?
I've made you go out of business. It's my fault.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you? Well, you might as well. You'll hate me anyway. I'm a house looker. Not a buyer, a looker. I look at houses the way some people look at cars or furniture or pretty clothes in a store window. I haven't got any money. I couldn't afford over $50 a month for an apartment, let alone buy a house.
So you haven't been interested in buying a house?
Of course I have, but I can't. I'm a sales lady in men's hosiery at Fonkel's department store.
So you mean to sit there and tell me...
Yes, Mr. Odlow. I'm sorry. I just want you to understand.
Why? That big talk about Palm Springs, swimming pools, the West Side. Why?
I want them. I can't have them, so I dream. But this is better than dreaming because I'm awake. I can see and feel.
Couldn't you see and feel with Bates and Scrabkey, or maybe Underfoot and Webb? I mean, pick on a big outfit who's got time and money. Why pick on me?
I'm sorry. I had to tell you.
Now you had to tell me. Well, thank you, Miss Vanning. Thank you for wasted hours and gas and tires. Thank you a lot.
I'm sorry.
Talk about nuts! I mean, in this business, boy... Well, what are you gonna do? I got her back to the office and let her out. And she walked away with those low-heeled shoes just paddling like a duck. Not like a ballet dancer, but flat. Just plain old flat feet. Then I was mad, but it had done one thing for sure. I knew I wasn't going to wait till the end of the month to get out. I'd send a telegram to my brother-in-law in San Francisco and clean up things here as best as I could. So goodbye, Odlow Real Estate Company. Goodbye, Miss Flatfoot Vanning. Et al!
He was right to be angry with me, but I thought he'd understand it, and he didn't. He didn't even care. All that next week I worked in men's hosiery, and I was sick. That awful feeling in the stomach, and I knew what it was. I've been through it before with a fellow back at home when I was 17. I was in love with Mr. Odlow. Mr. Odlow hated me, and every man who bought a pair of socks had a sad, good-looking face. And on Saturday, it was about 2 o'clock, and maybe because it wasn't Sunday...
I'd like a pair of these socks, please.
Mr. Odlow.
May I have a pair of these socks, please?
Yes, sir. I didn't know you bought your socks at Fonkel's.
I happen to be buying a few things for when I go away.
You're going away?
Size 11, please.
Yes, sir. They're very nice socks, Mr. Odlow. You'll look nice in them. I'm sorry about what I did.
These are size 12. I asked for size 11.
I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Odlow, will you forgive me?
I'd really rather not talk about it, Miss Vanning. It's a closed chapter. After Monday, the Odlow Real Estate Company will be defunct. Closed. Out of business.
I'm sorry.
I'm not.
I wish you weren't still angry with me.
I'm not angry with you.
Oh, that's good. Shall I wrap them up, or will you take me with you? I mean, would you like to take the socks with you, or are you having other things sent home?
I'll take them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You said you were going away, Mr. Odlow?
Yes.
Where?
San Francisco.
Oh. I bet you'll sell a lot of houses up there.
Well, I won't be selling houses, Miss Vanning. I'm going into the frozen fish business.
Oh. I know you'll make a success of it.
Thank you. Miss Vanning.
Yes, Mr. Odlow?
My socks. I should have told her. I should have asked her. But I'd lost my nerve. And then she'd wrapped up the socks, and it was too late. Well, I went back to the office for the last time on Sunday, packed up a couple of pictures, my pencil sharpener, and some other junk. The phone rang 3 or 4 times, but it wasn't her. I waited until 5, and then I picked up the carton and walked out to my car.
Hello.
Hi.
You're closed.
Yes. All through.
Oh.
You been here long?
No, I saw you through the window and I didn't want to disturb you. I thought I'd wait out here. I just dropped by to give you my address and to get yours. You've been so nice about everything. I thought it might be nice to write once in a while.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Would you mind opening the door for me? The curtain's kind of heavy.
Sure.
Thanks. Well, I should have a pencil somewhere around here. Give me a second.
I've got one. Here.
Thanks.
467 Peel Street. Miss Louise Banning.
Yes. Oh, I'll be at my brother-in-law's until I get settled. That's Mr. Harry Brewer, 116 Heston, San Francisco. There you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed these last few Sundays. It was a pleasure. I'm sorry if I was kind of rude. I guess I was just upset about the way business was, you know? And taking it out on you in a way.
Oh, it was a terrible thing for me to do.
Oh, no, I understand. I get a kick out of seeing nice houses myself. Someday I'm going to have one.
I know you will.
Well, can I drop you off somewhere?
That's very kind of you, Mr. Odlow, but it would be out of your way.
That's okay. It's my pleasure.
We didn't talk hardly at all on the way home. It was much too short a ride. Then we were outside my apartment. I wanted to get out quickly because I knew I was going to cry.
Well, here we are.
Yes.
It's been nice knowing you, Miss Fanning. Maybe we'll see each other again.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Did you get something in your eye?
No. Goodbye.
Miss Fanning!
Huh?
You forgot your purse.
Thank you.
Would you... Do you mind if I ask you something personal?
I don't mind.
Are you married or engaged or anything?
No, Mr. Odlow.
Oh. Well, I suppose you don't want to...
Oh, yes, I would.
You would?
Yes, I would.
You know, you'll think it funny, but the first time I saw you, I think I fell in...
I know. I mean, I didn't know, but I did too.
Do you think you'd like living in San Francisco?
I'm sure of it. We could go looking for houses together.
Yes. Do you mind if I kiss you out here on the street?
No. It would be my pleasure.
Cathy and Elliott Lewis on stage.
Mary Jane Croft rejoined us tonight to be embarrassed when we entered her home without knocking.
Our thanks to her. And to Tony Ellis for the script.
It's always pleasant to think you've discovered new talent. We think we have. We received a script from a gentleman named Thomas Calhoun. We called him at his home and asked if we could do it on stage, and Mr. Calhoun agreed.
We also believe it to be one of the most charming stories we've ever done.
And we're going to do it next week. Canary Yellow, it's called, and it was written by a brilliant new writer, Thomas Calhoun.
Until next week, thank you all for listening, and good night.
Good night.
Music for tonight's story was composed and conducted by Fred Steiner. The Cathy and Elliott theme is by Ray Noble, and the program is transcribed and directed by Mr. Lewis. George Walsh speaking. And remember, Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, is heard Friday nights on the CBS Radio Network.